Happy Monday. We can tell it's Monday because the computers don't want to work today. We had some technical difficulties, so I appreciate your patience, but you got some extra time to listen to some beautiful music. So better than jumping right in on a Monday, getting right to work. Today we are going to go through our lessons 4 and 5 of our cooperative education. My name is Kobe Flatt. This is the DCO3O, our Creating Opportunities Through Cooperative Education course. Every Monday to Thursday between 10 and 11, I go through the course curriculum where we talk about the things that will help you be successful in obtaining the DCO3O credit. We never broadcast on Fridays. It's a chance for you to complete any assignments, submit work, be connecting with teachers if you need to. Sometimes it's just easier on a Friday to get everything organized, but know that we are all here for you throughout the week. Just be mindful of our class teaching times. We are on our second week of our Term 1B radio schedule. We finished week 1 yesterday. Today we are jumping into week 2. Most of our classes here at WASA will run the entire 9 weeks. All of our terms are 9 weeks. But if you were with us last week, you'll remember I explained co-op is special. Co-op's a little bit different. We only do 20 hours of in-class work, and then you get sent out to your placements. Now, I recognize a lot of you are working full-time. You might have been in these jobs for a while. But for the sake of this course, we're going to be referring to your work as your work placement. And we have to do in-classroom hours, and then we do during your placement and after your placement assignments. So for the sake of this course, we are going to do the 20 classes, which would technically bring us to December 15th. But I am being sent to Toronto for a work conference December 2nd to the 4th, and will be out of town. We're just going to reschedule those classes, push them down by a week, making our course term ending just before the Christmas break. We will be done December 18th. We have 2 weeks off for Christmas. The office will be closed from December 22nd until January 2nd, returning back to our normal scheduling on Monday, January 5th. All of your other courses, maybe you're taking NBV3E and LNCAO, I don't know. If you've got another class that's going on, those classes will be running until January 23rd. We will be wrapping up December 18th only in this class. Today we are going to finish off Unit 1 with Lesson 4 and jump into Unit 2 with Lesson 5. We got to do our makeup class on Friday where we looked at Lesson 3 and goal setting. If you weren't able to catch it, you can find the recording, or on our Google Classroom, I have all of the material posted. You can find the workshop that we did with Vicki Cheeseman, our partner at Northwest Employment Works, and you can watch through there and then complete the assignment if you want that extra support. It's a wonderful resource, and I do encourage you to check out the links that Vicki offered, looking at the different resources that she brought to us to help boost our Lesson 3 to be successful at. Now, that just took care of the first key question, where we needed to make our own vision statement and goals. We did not have time to go through the benefits of co-op, and I want to highlight the question 2 and 3 of lesson 3 today, just to again ensure that you are successful and can complete those assignments. Then we will jump into lesson 4, looking at our interests, and move on to unit 2, where we will probably only have enough time to do the defining abilities. I don't think that we're going to get into anything else from there, so let's just call it as it is, be realistic, and say we're just going to get through our 4 points today. Let's start with the benefits of co-op. A lot of you might be taking this course simply because it gives you an elective credit or 2 and you're already working, so why not tack on some credits for doing things that you've already started to do or are doing, and that is the beautiful thing about co-op. Co-op lets you, almost like our equivalency credits when you fill out your SEA application, you're getting credits for things that you already know, that you already do, and that's why I love teaching adult education, because we get to acknowledge the experience that you have. But I do want to say again that what you put into this course is what you will get out of this course. So if you treat it like a brand new fresh start, maybe you've been in the job for a few years, but if you stop to think about it and apply what we're learning in class, it might help give you a clearer understanding, a renewed sense of purpose, or acknowledge the skills that you could continue to be working on, and maybe asking for new responsibilities once you've got the confidence of what your strengths are. So if we stop to think about, what if we didn't have this job? What if we were looking for a new position? How can co-op help? Co-op is a great way to gain experience and look to see if it's a good fit. A lot of times we pick a job just because it's there, it's available, it's going to give us the paycheck that we need to afford rent or groceries. But if you really stop to think about your overall quality of, do I enjoy what I'm doing? Is there something else I could be doing? Co-op gives students a chance to try on a workplace. Do I want to be in an office setting? Do I want to be outdoors? Do I want to be working with the public? It allows for you to gain experience and test on roles to see if that's where you want to be. The course material that we're going to go through allows you to better understand yourself and your goals. If you tuned in to Friday's makeup class, where we listened to the workshop that we did with our partners at Northwest Employment Works, you might have heard and started to work through your personality test. Who are you, and what do you enjoy? What do you want to get out of life? Or start small when we set our short-term goals. What does the next few months look like? And then your long-term goals. It helps you to sit and confront these things that maybe you've thought of in passing, but much like Vicki announced in her workshop, when you write things down, it helps you to have a clearer picture and to stick to it. Another benefit of co-op is that you get to learn transferable skills or hone the ones that you already have to better perfect what you are good at or what you know. A lot of times we can be jack of all trades, but we really want to be specific in one or two. It allows for you to be able to work on those goals. As well, through the different tests, that we take in this course, you can better determine your strengths and improve your weaknesses by knowing how to do that, by learning about what they are and then putting it into practice, putting the theory into practice when you get into the workplace. So lots of benefits of co-op. You can think of some others, I'm sure. Think of ones that are right for you. This is just an example of helping you to get in the mindset of what you put into this course, you will get out, and you could gain this better understanding of yourself, of your goals, hone your skills, work on your weaknesses, determine your strengths if you put into it. The next part of lesson 3 asks you to look at a cartoon and read the cartoon to determine the importance of a good career fit. Now, when you see the one in your aisle booklet, sometimes it's small, sometimes it's hard to read, sometimes it's hard to see if it's not printing in color. So I just wanted to point out some things again that if you can't see it, maybe go onto our Google Classroom and pull up the PDF, pull up the textbook, then you can zoom in. You can really get the full picture of what it means. And the other thing I want to point out is it's always good practice to look at how much a question is worth. If a question is worth 4 marks, try to provide 4 supporting details, 4 pieces of evidence. Usually that's giving me 4 sentences. So to practice, I have this cartoon of what looks like Pinocchio sitting on a chair in front of a potential employer, maybe going through the job interview process, and the potential employer says, "I'm sorry, my boy, but you're just not suited for a career in law." And it's funny because if a lawyer has to withhold the truth or maybe not be so honest, we know the story of Pinocchio, who every time he lies, his nose grows, and it would definitely give away something that he's hiding. So the cartoon is illustrating the importance of a good career fit, that we're not all meant to do everything. There are certain jobs that certain people are good at, and other jobs other people are good at. And it doesn't mean that one is better than the other, but knowing what suits you will help you to thrive. Then we move on to tying in the workshop that we did with Vicky on Friday, where Vicky brought to our attention the personality tests. In the workshop, we heard that in order to understand ourselves and in order to understand workplace relationships, we have to first understand ourselves. Vicky brought up the different personality tests that are available online. The big one is the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities. When you take this personality test, you have a better understanding of who you are and how you can work with others, how you can utilize your skills and interests and strengths to be part of a larger team. You can go to your favorite search engine. You can find a personality test. Most of them are free. Some of them you have to pay for. Some of them you'll get the first part for free, but then if you want the in-depth or other things about it, then you have to pay for it. I'm going to show you one. And this is the one that Vicky had brought up in our workshop. It is the Truity.com Test Type Finder Personality Test. This test will allow you to go through an answer. It will give you a result. And then again, if you want to learn more, you might have to pay for it. But the premise behind the personality test is that when you answer certain questions about yourself, you are put into a category. And the categories are based on your tendencies to think or act in a particular way. So the most popular system of personality typing was developed by Isabel Briggs Myers and her mother, Catherine Briggs, in the 60s. Together, they proposed using 4 key dichotomies to differentiate people. They broke it down into introverts versus extroverts, intuitives versus sensors, thinkers versus feelers, and judgers versus perceivers. They ask a series of questions that will draw out which one you are more pulled towards, which one is stronger. Questions aren't very lengthy, but you go through, and what you would do is it's a rating scale. So from each pair, you choose the phrase that best describes you. So the first phrase is, I am often disorganized, or I keep myself organized. So if you are a super organized person, you're going to go to the far right. You're going to click on that one that is, yes, describes me to a T. If it's a little bit, then you're going to move down a scale. If you're neither super disorganized or super organized, then you would just be neutral. You'd be that middle scale. And then if you're super disorganized, you're going to go far left. So you click on the one that best describes you, and you go back and forth, and you'll be asked to move on to the next step. Yeah, I missed some, so it's not going to let me go on. But at the end, it's going to give you your results. So I did take the test, and mine came out that you get a 4-letter sort of descriptor of yourself. So I am an ENTJ. That means when it is going between the introvert or the extrovert, I am more extroverted. When it goes between the intuitive or the sensing, then I am more of the intuitive. When it goes between the thinker or the feeler, I am more of a thinker. And the last one is between judging and perceiving, and my strengths, I'm more pulled towards the judging. So that's where the ENTJ comes from. It's telling you between the two which one you are stronger. And then it has categorized these letter combinations. So the ENTJs are often referred to as commanders, with the tendency to be pulled more towards the E, the N, the T, and the J, so the extrovert, the intuitive, the thinking, and the judging. It leads the category to say that you are a natural-born leader with an unparalleled drive to turn your visions into reality. Your strategic mind excels at seeing the big picture, identifying long-term goals, and devising efficient plans to achieve them. You possess a rare combination of confidence, charisma, and decisiveness that draws others to you and inspires them to follow your lead. Your approach to life is characterized by ambition and a relentless pursuit of success. You have an innate ability to organize people and resources, creating order out of chaos and transforming abstract ideas into concrete results. Your sharp intellect and rational decision-making skills allow you to navigate complex situations with ease, always keeping your eye on the ultimate objective. Once you have your results, you can start to think about, does this sound like you? How can this be used and transfer into the workplace? Well, if you are a natural-born leader, then you might want to start taking more responsibilities of team situations or settings, put in charge of a group, put in charge of a project. If you excel at seeing the big picture and long-term goals and devising efficient plans to achieve them, you will excel in starting a project, working with others, rallying them together to complete the project successfully. When you know more about yourself, you can begin to understand workplace relations. You can begin to understand how you interact with others in the office and how you tackle different jobs. Completing the personality test is a fun way to get to know yourself better and how you work. Now, along with that, there is also What interests you? So interests are things that you like, things that attract you. It can be certain activities, they can be your hobbies. Your interests will tell a lot about you. You don't necessarily have to be great at something to be interested in something. Interests can just be those things that you enjoy. It's not just what do I like to do in my spare time. Interests can often be listed on a resume, which provides employers insight about you. Employers could ask you to take this personality test so they can find out more about who you are and where you would be best situated in the team. But rather than having every employee do that, you can give them a snippet of that by putting it on your resume. Now, when you put it on your resume, you do want to try to list active interests, things that you're doing, such as playing sports or creating crafts, the things that you do. A passive interest would be watching TV, watching movies, watching basketball, as opposed to playing basketball. So if you are considering adding that interest section to your resume, try to highlight the active interests. If you go online and look up a resume template, many resumes already include a section of your interests. On the board in front of me, I have an example of Jane Smith, who's a junior architect. It has her objective, her work experience, her education, personal projects, skills, technical skills, languages, and then interests. So here we've got this professional resume that's highlighting not only education but technical skills, and then has interests. The interests, now it doesn't have to necessarily be playing chess. It's kind of assumed on some of them that that is your active interest. Jane Smith has listed artificial intelligence, virtual reality, chess, traveling, painting, trail running. These are things that can be done, things that you can do as opposed to just sitting. But some of it could be learning about it. It could be reading about artificial intelligence, and that's a wonderful thing, especially in today's day and age as well, that an employer might want to know about. If you, like Jane Smith, are getting into a job, maybe junior architect, where you need to be working with digital technology, artificial intelligence is a great keyword to put on there so it can make you stand out from other potential candidates. In lesson 4, you will be asked to start thinking about your interests. As interests serve as windows into your character, revealing aspects of your personality, values, and passions, identifying what truly excites you is a crucial step in understanding yourself better. So, your first part of lesson 4 is to start brainstorming what your interests are. No matter how insignificant you think they are, don't worry about putting active interest on this one. It can be active or passive. Start brainstorming all of your interests. What are things that you enjoy doing? Maybe it's something you haven't done in a few years, but it will get you thinking again about why don't I do that anymore? And maybe I should get back into that. And oh my gosh, I haven't done that in so long, but maybe it was the season or phase of life that you were in, and now you can get back into it. So truly jot down everything. There's no right or wrong answer. You'll notice that for this question, it's just marks for completion. You get marks just for doing it. So there's no right or wrong answer. But it's going to start you thinking on what your interests are, what you're interested in. Then the next part of lesson 4 has you choosing 3 of your interests. So just pick 3 of them, and you're going to write them in the far left column that says my interest is. So I've put an example in your IL booklet. For the first part, my interest is in makeup and beauty. Then you want to see how does that interest connect to a job? Because everything can relate. everything can be used in one way or another. So for the example, I can use my passion for makeup to make tutorials and offer personalized advice, helping people feel their best. The last column is an example of how your interest could be used on the job. One could work with their community to help support events where people need beauty advice. It can be something real, it can be something as fun as volunteering to do face painting. It can be a way to bring the community together. Everything can be used to support and has this underlying skill that can be brought forth in another means. It's pretty amazing once you stop to think about how your interests can connect to a job and how they could be used on the job. So all we're asking is that you take 3 of them and try working on connecting it to a job. And that is it for Unit 1. So if we take a minute to go to our Google Classroom, you will notice that I haven't signed in, so I'm going to need to sign in. Once we're signed in, we can find our Google Classroom. And I need a new tab for that. Here we go. We're going to click our cooperative education class. We're going to go up to classwork and scroll down to the textbook material. So Unit 1 is where you will find lessons 1 to 4, all of the written stuff. But in Unit 1, Foundations of Cooperative Education, you will see the assignment. So starting at Lesson 3 with goal setting, there's our workshop with Vicki Cheeseman. There's the assignment. So the workshop just has that sort of book with the bookmark, and it's letting you that's just material. It's letting you know that's a resource for you to use. Anything with the clipboard, and it will say class assignment, lets you know that's something you're going to have to complete. So when you click on goal setting, it's going to bring you, remember, to your vision statement and your goal, and then you turn it in. After that is our exploring co-op, the benefits of co-op, explain 2 benefits, use examples where possible. Here's a perfect example. You're asked to explain 2 benefits, and it's worth 4 marks. So there's a few key flags to be mindful of here. It's not saying list 2 benefits, and it's not out of 2 marks. It wants us to explain, which means we'll have to expand on our thinking, and it's specifically telling us to use examples where possible. So you'll get a mark for explaining a benefit and a mark for using an example. Then you'll get a mark for explaining the second benefit and a mark for providing an example. That will give you the full 4 marks. And then again, it has our cartoon asking you to explain the importance of a good career fit. It's only worth 2 marks. You don't have to write an entire paragraph. Just why is having a good career for you important? And then you submit that one when you're done. The last assignment in Unit 1 is identifying interests, which we just went through. Write down all of your interests, brainstorm, 3 marks for completion. Then we have the from interests to placement, where you get 3 marks for each idea for a total of 9 marks. Try to use complete sentences. If there's an example, always follow the template, follow the example. If it says, my interest is in makeup and beauty, I can use my passion too. I can work with my community too. Try to follow that lead for those full marks. And that's it for Unit 1. Moving into Unit 2, you can scroll up to the top where we have our textbook unit material. You can open Unit 2, have the PDF open as one tab, and then you can be working on your lessons in another tab, going back and forth. Unit 2 is bringing us to building career readiness. We're getting ready to go out into the workplace. Yes, most of you are already in your workplace, and that's fantastic. Remember, for the sake of this course, we're working as if we need to set up and get established before we get that job. So, Unit 2 starts us with Lesson 5, where we talk about our natural abilities. Lesson 5 is all about how abilities shape your future. We learn about the multiple intelligences theory that was created by Howard Gardner. He's a psychologist best known for his theory of multiple intelligences, which suggested people can have more than one kind of intelligence. Now, intelligence is the ability to problem solve or create in one or more ways that are valued by society. Gardner identified 9 different intelligences. If you go online and you research natural abilities, multiple intelligences, you might come up with a few that have 11 or 12. And that's because as things evolve, as technology advances, we do have some others that can be seen. But it was Howard Gardner who first coined the theory of multiple intelligences, and his theory identified 9. Of his 9, there are usually 1 or 2 categories that you are strong in. Rarely is it just one thing that you're good at or you have a strength in. Often it's a mash of both, it's a collection of. There are more than one category that you can be strong in. To find yours, there is this short survey in your independent learning booklet that you can use to work through. In your IL booklet, it's also on our Google Classroom. You can complete the one that's in your IL booklet. But it says for each of the statements below, choose a number between 1 and 5. So much like the Myers-Briggs personality test where there was a scale, this is similar. There's a scale. You choose a number between 1 and 5 to rate how the statement describes you. 1 is no, the statement is not like me at all. 5 is a strong yes, the statement is definitely me. From there, it varies. So 5 is a strong yes, 4 is a yeah, the statement's a lot like me. 3 is the statement is somewhat like me. That's the neutral. 2 is the statement is just a little like me. And a 1 is a strong no, the statement is not like me at all. So you would go through, and it's broken into the categories, which a lot of the tests that you find online won't be. They don't want to lead you one way or another or bias your answers, so they won't tell you what they're grading. But the one in your booklet does lead by categorizing. All these questions have to do with verbal linguistic. All of these questions have to do with logical mathematical. So if you want a true accurate answer, you can go online and you can find multiple intelligences quiz. You can look for Howard Gardner's, and some of them, much like the personality test, you might have to pay for. Some of them you can get a brief, here's your 2 strongest, but if you want to know more about how to utilize that or what that means, then you pay extra from there. So it's completely up to you to go as far with this as you want. But all you're going to do is read the statements and complete the scale. So if you're going to do the one on your IL booklet that says verbal linguistic, the first sentence statement says, I could use lots of different words to express myself. If that sounds like you, are you a 4, the statement is a lot like me, or a 5, strong yes, the statement is definitely me. And you're going to go and rate for each question in each category. At the end of each category, it asks you to tally your points. So if you answered 5s for all of the verbal linguistic questions, that would give you 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and then we flip the page, 40. You would have a high score of 40. Then what you want to do for the key question is fill out your scores in the graph to help you identify your strengths. It's just going to let you see for those visual learners out there if you have a strong strength in one, far above the others, or are you kind of close in a few categories. It's then going to ask you to state your top 3 intelligences. And if you've got the old material, it's just 5 marks for completion for doing question 2. I've broken that up and clarified that better in the new material to say you get 2 marks for filling out your scores and you get 3 marks for stating your top 3 intelligences. Just for those who need that clarification, I've updated and revised that for you. Once you know what your scores are, then you can go and read about what that means for you. So again, there's online ones that you can feel free to use where it's still that rating scale. This one that I have online as an example comes from literacynet.org, and it's the MI, the Multiple Intelligence Assessment, where you can find your strengths. This one does not break it into categories. You can obviously have an understanding of what questions they're asking. I pride myself on having a large vocabulary. The world of plants and animals is important to me. I have wide and varied musical interests. These ones you can tell which multiple intelligence they're targeting. But try to be honest. There's no point in being sneaky or trying to be somebody or not. We want to better understand ourselves. So there's no right answer or wrong answer. So it's not like you can cheat one way or the other. Be honest with yourself. Complete all of the questions. So I went through and I did all of the questions and I got the following results. Where are my results? Let's see, I'm just going to have to search multiple intelligence. Here I am. So here, my top 3 are language. Now, the one online has different wording. They call it social, but that would be the interpersonal intelligence. You can see I scored the exact same, a 3.86 on language, a 3.86 on social, and then a 3.57 for body movement, which would be the bodily kinesthetic intelligence. So depending on which platform you use, you might have different wording. To keep it straight and simple, you can just keep the one that's listed in your IL booklet, which is also the one that is found on our Google Classroom. From there, you are asked to reflect on your natural intelligences and abilities. If you're with me on Unit 2, page 6, which is Lesson 4, Question 3, reflect on your natural intelligences and abilities. Explain whether you agree or disagree. Where are your strengths? Why do you think this is? What are some of your weaknesses and how can you improve? So if you complete the online one, it's going to spit out your results. If you complete the one in your IL booklet, you're going to have to calculate, fill out the graph so you can identify your strengths and weaknesses, and then look at, okay, what are your top 3? When I am presented with the verbal linguistic intelligence, there in your IL booklet is a description of what is verbal linguistic intelligence. This is the ability to use words well, whether in speaking or writing. People who are strong verbal linguistic intelligence are good at reading, writing, telling stories, and learning languages. They often enjoy activities like reading books, playing word games, engaging in debates. You want to use these descriptions to help you complete your reflection. Remember, it's worth 8 marks. We're going to want to write 8 things, provide 8 pieces of evidence supporting details. Go and explain whether you agree or disagree. I want to take the time, we've got 4 minutes, to use the example of tools. I'm on my Google Doc. If I'm logged into my nnecschools.org, I have access to the whole G Suite. I'm in my Google Doc. I can pull it up from Google Classroom. I've got my new document. Under the tab that has File, Edit, View, Insert, Format, Tools, I'm going to look at Tools and go down to Voice Typing. Voice typing pulls up this microphone icon. I click on the microphone to speak, and it is going to capture what I have to say. So here's a 2-for-1. I'm going to show you how to complete this lesson while using the voice typing tool on Google, which I had wanted to do last week, but we ran out of time for. So I'm going to answer this: reflect on your natural intelligence's abilities, explain whether you agree or disagree, what are your strengths, why do you think this is, what are some of your weaknesses, and how can you improve. So I'm going to click on the microphone and I'm going to say, I agree with the results of my natural intelligences test. And it didn't work, probably because let's try that again. Can I type? And it's still not working. I think it's because my microphone is attached to the studio and I have to check my microphone later. So, yep, it says, sorry, didn't hear that. Ideally, what would happen is it would capture everything that I'm saying and it would type it out. I will show you guys how this tool works. I'm determined to show you how incredible the voice typing tool is. I'm just going to have to probably switch microphones the next time I'm in the studio so that the computer can pick this up as well. But you want to go through and you want to make sure that you're reading the question in its entirety so that you can answer it completely and get those full 8 marks. There is a rubric so you can gauge whether you're on the right track for those full marks or not. Make sure you demonstrate a thorough understanding of all the questions, that you address all parts comprehensively, that you provide in-depth and insightful response with clear reasoning and examples. So when it says explain whether you agree, what are your strengths, I can say I agree with the verbal linguistic intelligence results because I do enjoy reading books. I love playing word games. I've been known to get into a few debates. My second one was the interpersonal, the ability to understand and interact well with others. People with strong interpersonal intelligence are good at communicating, working in teams, understanding other people's feelings and motivations. They often enjoy group activities, making friends, and helping others. Give examples. Yes, 100% that sounds like me. I love teamwork. I love social events. I love getting to meet people, and I love helping others. Some examples of this are the multiple volunteer opportunities that I participate in, the different committees that I sit on because I love getting things done and working with others. And then you can state the ones that I was not strong in. What was my lowest one? Spatial. You can say, I agree with that. That's not entirely me. I would have thought that it would have been a little bit higher than the results I had because I am aware of my surroundings. But overall, I agree with my results and I can improve by working on and being mindful of the things that I'm not good at, trying more activities that will help me to strengthen those weaknesses. That's essentially what we're looking for lessons 4 and 5. That's all the time that we have for today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and join us tomorrow at 10. All the